Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this assembly. We're going to look at a series of 3 different stories that Jesus told, his parables. And they're not stories like once upon a time kind of stories, they're stories with a message, with a point. And I guess quite a lot of our stories are like that. They're not just the story, there's something else that we're supposed to pick up. So, for example, you know that brilliant Disney film Up? Well, it's not just a story about a grumpy old man who goes off in a balloon, is it? It's a story about adventure and about making the most of life and about love never ending and about all the fun and the friendship that we can share along the way. So, this is a similar kind of story. It's a story, and we can get to know the story, but there's also a message going on. And I've got some fantastic pictures to show with this story. So here's our first picture. Here is a man who is going on a journey. You can see he's going on a journey on a donkey and he's all ready to set off. The sun's hot and the donkey climbs up the long hill before him. The path winds beside steep rocks. The man starts to feel uncomfortable, and I wonder if you can see why. Suddenly, there is a shout. Robbers, all 3 of them. They attack the man, they steal his bag, and they take his donkey. Poor man, he's left lying on the ground. The robbers have taken everything, and he really cannot help himself. After a while, somebody comes and walks along the path. It is a bishop. He doesn't look much like our Bishop of Leicester, does he? But this is a bishop, somebody very important in the church. And so you'd think he'd rush over to help the man. But in the story, the bishop just crosses over the road, walks along, takes no notice of the man in trouble. Just then, a judge comes past. A judge is somebody who keeps the law, so you'd have thought he would be think it was very important to help the man. Somebody a bit like a policeman, but more important. You'd have thought he would be right there to help the man, but no, maybe he was late for a meeting, maybe he was afraid. For whatever reason, he didn't stop to help. The poor man is just lying, and then look who's coming here. Now this man is a stranger. He doesn't live in the country, and he's coming up the same path. He has no friends here, so why should he stop to help? But he does stop, and he does help. He helps the man, he binds his wounds, he puts some bandages on, and then he helps him onto his donkey. He puts his arm around him and he gently leads him along the path to a place that can give the man more help. At the next town, the stranger finds somewhere for the man to stay, and he pays for the injured man to be looked after, not just to leave him behind, but to make sure that he is fit and well and do everything he can to help. So Jesus says, Who do you think was the good neighbour? The bishop, or the judge, or the stranger? I wonder if you've heard that story with a different title. Sometimes it's entitled The Good Samaritan. And I wonder what you would say was the point of that story. When I lived in Zambia and I taught a class, lots of children all crammed into the classroom, they often struggled for books and pencils and rulers. And I really remember one young lad put his hand up and said, "Who will be the Good Samaritan and lend me a pencil?" So we sometimes use that Good Samaritan in a different context to anything to do with a story or anything to do with robbers. It's more about just being the person that bothers, being the person that doesn't just rush on with their own business, but being the person that takes trouble to stop. And the really brilliant thing is, it was about compassion, it was about looking after, but it was also about seeing that injured man not just get better from his bump on his head, but get on his way, be able to go on his way and have a different kind of journey afterwards. And Jesus told the story because people were wanting to say, well, is it okay if I like that person? And Jesus was saying, actually, the neighbours are not necessarily the people that we think of. Sometimes they're the strangers, sometimes they're the outsiders. Actually, we're all connected and we can all do good to each other. So, I wonder today, how can you be a good Samaritan? I doubt very much that you'll have to rescue somebody who's been biffed on the head in a mountain path, but there might be a way that you could lend somebody a pencil, or that you could be a good friend to somebody. Have a look out for that and think of how this story and its message might make a difference to you. Go well.